recorded. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Vivek, for that. So Dunham, thank you once again for volunteering. We've got about 10 or 15 minutes that we'll coach here. And the purpose of this is just to get to your goal. Yeah. So, and then we'll do reality after that. So what would you like to get out of our coaching session today?
Okay. So, like I mentioned, I have started in this path of being a coach, and I need to practice before I do my ACC or even start coaching live sessions. So there I have a fear, which is delaying me from moving into the path. I feel that it's just a training session which has happened, and I probably coach my peers with my trainers being around as part of the learning session. So I don't feel confident enough to practice sessions and move forward in this path. So I don't know if it's a fear, hesitation, some kind of a lack of confidence. My goal is to move forward, step forward, and start coaching, start practicing, clear my mind that whether see, obviously I cannot know everything before I start coaching. I understand that, but still I feel there is something which is stopping me from moving forward.
Okay. So great. Thank you very much for sharing, and congratulations on launching into your coaching journey. It's a never-ending learning journey, I can tell you. But in terms of our coaching today, what would you like to walk away with?
I would say a confidence, or maybe a change of perception, because I don't know what is the base of this fear or the lack of confidence, which is stopping me from moving forward, that I don't have enough knowledge. So that perception or change of thought, so that I can step into coaching, start practicing, move more confidently, and ask the relevant questions. Because I am not able to move forward because I have this lack of confidence, I am not able to get the right questions probably.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, and thanks for sharing so openly, because sharing your fear or lack of confidence, particularly with a bunch of coaches, is a big step. So let me just firstly acknowledge that. Now, given that we've only got a short time together today, I'm probably don't think we're going to get rid of the fear, or like you go from not confident to confident. What do you think we could achieve in the 20-30 minutes that we've got today that would help you in that direction?
Okay. Maybe help me to move forward and start practicing or trying start coaching people. It could be even pro bono. It could be even just a peer session where I'm learning and I'm getting that confidence, and I'm also coming out of that fear.
Okay, so look, let me check, because you've talked about the fear and the confidence. You've also talked about helping you to kind of start practicing and get out there and start coaching. Is there one that comes before the other? Like, do you practice to reduce your fear, or do you need to reduce your fear in order to practice?
Actually, the first one comes is to reduce the fear to practice.
Okay. So if we focused on the fear today, would that feel like a kind of a useful place for you to focus in our coaching today?
Yeah, mainly the fear is also that probably, what if I ask the wrong question? What if I worsen the situation of the coachee? I'm not telling that as a coach I'm going to turn the situation completely, but that's where we move forward. But in the initial phase, I don't want to put somebody in more trouble than helping them out of it.
Right. Okay. Um, that's a nice ethical stance to take, by the way, Dan. That we do no harm. So in terms of our coaching today, what do you think would be a measure of success in terms of what you are taking away that would help you reduce your fear, maybe ask good questions, and certainly add value to them? What would be a measure of success for our coaching today?
Probably after the session, if I am able to send a few invites to people whom I know, maybe my friends, or even in this coaching community, if I'm able to take that step, I think that itself will be a great victory for me, because I'm hesitating to do that.
Okay, fantastic. So if you can send some invites, actually take that step, that'll be a good outcome from today.
Yep.
And just in terms of that, and you've talked about the fear a couple of times, but what do we need to focus on to reduce that fear so that you can take those steps and send those invitations?
I am not completely sure, but maybe experience sharing, or probably a guidance, you being experienced in this path. If you can guide me or give me that strength to think in the right way, that like I mentioned, I understand that it's a never-ending learning forum, but it doesn't mean that I have to reach somewhere before I start. I could start at any point. So maybe the clarification that, yes, I am still ready to move forward, and maybe these are the things you need to take care. Probably those could also help.
Okay, so a good outcome would be, taking that step and sending some invitations to start the coaching practice.
Right.
And if you could start to understand maybe, some of the things that are getting in the way, that would be a good outcome from today.
Yes.
So if you were just to, I guess, share back what your goal for today's coaching is, how would you phrase it?
How would you?
How would you describe it? How would you phrase the coaching goal for today?
How would I praise the coaching goal?
Yeah, like how would you, if you were to put it in a sentence, how would you construct that sentence around the coaching goal for today?
Maybe by the goal would be to send minimum 5 invites today before the day end within my circle, requesting if they can spend some time with me within the next week, maybe an hour, so that I can coach them on any immediate situation they would like to work on with me. So that would be my goal. Okay.
So to send 5 invites by the end of the day, that's a nice action to take. And what would be different for you at the end of this coaching session that would allow you to do that?
The understanding that, or the confidence that I am ready with whatever knowledge I have to start coaching. And also the understanding that if there are any pitfalls, like you started with listening, so that itself I noted down as a top point for me, that learning to listen is something which is very important as a coach. So some such guiding points, those would be the things which I would say.
Fantastic. So if I can just feedback what I've heard in terms of our coaching goal, and if there's any edits or whatever, lovely to hear, but in terms of an action, you want to feel confident to send 5 invitations at the end of the day to request some coaching practice with people. And
Yes.
what will be different for you is that there's a sense of feeling ready with the knowledge and experience that you've got to be able to do that.
Yes.
Fantastic. All righty. So I can just do a timeout there, Dunham, and we'll just do a bit of a debrief around this, like what I was listening for. How did that inform my question? So we'll just focus on the G, and then after this, we'll go into the R after that. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So let's keep our cameras off because, again, I want everyone to really be mindful of their listening and what they're listening for, what they're hearing, and obviously what you're learning. But I wonder if we open it up to we'll give Dunham a bit of a break from being in the hot seat. Thank you. What did people hear, or what questions do you have? Again, this is a listening activity. What did you hear about what I was listening for? And in particular, remember that clarity, meaningful, and something we can achieve in the time we have. What comments or reflections do you have? Is there anything that surprised you? Any little questions that you thought you might take or whatever? But yeah, Sunita, I think you've come off.
No. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, should we type it in the comment, or do you want us to just...
Look, I think if you just bring yourself off mute, I'm very happy to have a conversation. Or you can put it in the chat if you want, if that's easier for you.
I'm okay. Anyone you can just raise the reaction button and unmute yourself, or you can just chat. Put it in the chat box because it's visible. So anyone, any question?
I think Shri has come off mute.
Yeah, John, can you repeat the question? I was thinking it was a coaching session that was going on. I didn't think the question was for us.
Yes. So the thing is that, Dunham and I have just kind of done the G for coaching. And of course, what I said is that when we're doing the goal, what we want to listen for is, is there clarity with the coachee? Is it meaningful for them? And do we have time to address it? So if that's what we're listening for, and if that was informing my questions, I'm just wondering what you observed or what you noticed, or what questions you might have about how you might go about it.
So from your conversation with Dhanlakshmi, I think there is a clarity and on what she wants to achieve, and does look very meaningful. And yeah, and yes, it is an achievable in a coaching time period. I'm not sure for today, but yes, in a regular. And you did cover all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sri. So let me maybe share just a little bit of what I was listening for. So what Dunham presented was around her fear and feeling confident, and that's pretty much kind of preventing her from launching into some coaching practice, which obviously you need the coaching hours to get your ACC that you mentioned. Now, hearing that, you realize that when people are sharing an emotion, particularly fear or confidence, there's a personal element in that. And so we want to make sure that it's safe for the for the person to share. But if we just took that comment around fear or confidence and fed it back and said, okay, so Dunham, if your coaching goal today is around feeling confident to start your coaching practice. Yes, that's right. So we might have the clarity and we might have this being a meaningful goal. But in my experience, I don't think we've got the time in a single coaching session to really move from feeling fearful to not, or feeling lack of confidence to feeling confidence. And so with something we can achieve in the, and let me just put my screen back up so you can see it. When we think about something we can achieve in the time we have, I go, I don't think we can get that shift in this session. My experience is that it normally takes a period of time to move from, feeling or building confidence. And so to bring it back, so given that we've only got 20 minutes today, what is it that you think that we might be able to focus on that would be useful for you in the goal? And so we've got that lovely action. Okay, sending 5 emails. Now that's something that I think Dunham can do. And remember, I asked the question, so what would have to change in you for you to be able to send those 5 emails? So again, we're making it personal, we're making it meaningful and getting clarity. And understanding your response, Dunham, was understanding that I'm ready with the confidence, sorry, the knowledge and experience that I've got to be able to start. Now, Dunham, I might bring you in here just to kind of have a sense of what did it feel like for being the coachee as I was clarifying, as I was kind of testing the goal, and maybe along these 3 elements around clarity, is it meaningful or is it something we can achieve? What was it like for you as the coachee in that goal setting piece of the session?
To be honest, John, though I was a coachee here, like you mentioned in the beginning, I was listening to learn and see what kind of questions you're asking, how you're moving on. So the background coach was understanding that I use this itself as a session to learn and see what is that I need to pick up to move forward. And if I think about as a coachee, I felt more confident, I would say. I didn't feel any discomfort that you were probing into me and asking questions which could probably make me uncomfortable and not open up. So the questions were very straightforward and more probing in a very non-personal way, I would say.
Okay, very good. Now, let me just turn my camera on. I'd like to show something to you. So before we go into the R, one of the things that for me is really important as a coach, in the goal setting part, we need to get that clarity. So I think of it like a funnel, because often the coachee comes in and gives you something big and it might be important, but it's probably too much to focus on in a single session. So my job is to get something that is quite specific, like quite clear, specific, meaningful, and with that, it's something that we can focus on in the session. Now, if we see that as that coming in and we've got this kind of quite specific goal that comes in, then what happens is that we can open it up and we can start to explore. But if we don't have that clarity of the goal, if we don't make it specific and measurable as we had, then what you'll find in your coaching is that the conversation will just wander and you won't be able to deliver the value to the coachee simply because where you started with the coaching goal was either too big or too vague or someone else's agenda So for me, it's important to stay with the goal until you get that clarity. And often what you will see or what you will feel is the coach going, yes, that's what I want to get out of the session. So yeah, so if I can understand or feel confident that with the knowledge I've got, I can start, that would be good. If I do 5 emails, that would be great. So you'll notice a shift in the energy of the coachee, and that's what I'm looking for. That is the doorway to go into the reality piece. If you don't have that, you don't have the clarity. If you don't have that kind of specific kind of nature of something that we can focus on, you'll find that you'll probably run out of time. You'll find that the conversation might go all over the place because that is the reference point for the coaching. So with that in mind, Dunham, is it okay if we spend another 10 or 15 minutes and move into the reality? And then we'll do a little debrief after that, and that'll be about time. Is that okay with you, Dunham?
Yeah, that is completely fine, John.
Okay. So on the screen, you'll see that we'll continue coaching for the reality. So the current reality in the GROW framework. And what I'm listening for here is something completely different now. So now what I'm listening for are ways of thinking, mental models, assumptions, biases or beliefs that are showing up. Now, this is not to be critical of these at all, but it's, for me, I'm going, is this way of thinking helping or hindering the coachee to achieve their goal? And there will always be both. There will be part of it that is helping and part of it that is hindering. And of course, our job is to help our coachee achieve their long-term goal, but importantly, the session goal. So I'm thinking of, okay, so I wonder what's the thinking that is driving the lack of confidence. I wonder what's getting in the way of taking that first step. I wonder what the fear is really about. And so in the reality, I'm starting to explore that the kind of the cognitive elements that is creating the current reality. And of course, I'm also looking for possible new perspectives. How can I expand their thinking? So what are the blind spots? And whatever we're focusing on means that we're not focusing on other things. So there's always elements that are not part of the coachee's worldview. And as a coach, that's part of what I'm listening for. What we need to be very careful about is that as a coach, we don't impose what we think they should be focusing on, rather than allowing them to explore and encourage. Now, you would have also heard that there's an expectation or a desire for Dunham to get some guidance from me. So what do you think I should do? Now, I'll talk about that at the end, but like, if we listen for that, I know that there's a ways of thinking in terms of how the coachee is wanting me to kind of show up. Yeah. So just a couple of those things that are already at play going into the reality. So let me stop sharing the screen. Let me turn my camera off. And Dunham, if you're okay, we'll spend another 10, 15 minutes or so, and we'll explore the reality, if that's okay.
Yes, John, I'm fine with that.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. So Dunham, thank you for sharing the goal. So you want to get 5 emails off this afternoon, but you also, part of that is, how do I feel confident enough that what you know and the experience that you've got is that you'll be able to deliver on those coaching practice sessions. Is that a fair summary of where we got to?
Yes, perfect, John.
Okay. Now I'm curious to explore the fear and confidence, because that's something that you've shared a couple of times. Is that okay if we kind of double click on that for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. Because what I'm hearing is that that's kind of what's getting in the way of you doing your coaching practice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You also mentioned that you were afraid of not making things worse, like that you wouldn't be able to ask the right question that and might make things worse for the coachee.
Right.
Could you just share a little bit more about that with me, please?
Okay. So as I got trained, when I got trained to be a life coach, yes, at that point of time, we had certain set of questions to be asked. And what I learned is that even you had mentioned it multiple times, the questions, those are the coach, the questions posed by coach are the ones which drive the whole session, that could transform everything for the coachee. So that I am not sure if I am good at that, because the questions which I have used as a reference during the training, they were not what I usually use. Simple, even the pleasantries. I wonder, let me understand the details or something like that. I fear maybe I might end up judging them, or maybe I might pose a wrong question, which could lead their thoughts in a different direction.
Right, thank you. All very good, I guess, concerns in your development, because judging doesn't help our coaching change. The questions are the things that help our coachee to kind of change their thinking and achieve their end. So you said that you didn't think you'd be very good at it, or it's not the way that you would normally approach it. Questions that you were given in your training, which ones do you think you would use or you are familiar with?
I'm more I'm more straightforward, and I'm used to asking blunt questions. So probably in the training where they just ask, can you please share more details on that, or what do you mean by this? So those are the type of questions which I'm used to. But when you have to add some pleasantries and make them feel comfortable, so not sure what is the time I use it or how I use it, whether I should always go by those questions which are given. There are standard questions available, thousands of questions available in the internet. But should I be practicing those questions or keep them as a reference and use it? Those are the things. So long story short, mainly I'm used to blunt questions as to what do you mean by this, or those are the areas which I'm comfortable with.
Okay. If we place the focus on your coachee, now I know you're still yet to send the email to your prospective coachee. What do you think would be the best questions that would sit in service of the coachee getting a great outcome?
You mean to say on the email itself?
No. I think you've probably got a few people that you might send that email to, but we're talking about when you actually have the coaching session with them. And you said your concern is, I'm not too sure I'm going to ask the right question or a good question. I'm used to asking blunt questions.
Yes.
If you put yourself in the coachee seat, what questions do you think they will need you to ask? If I put myself in that position, more softer questions, like the questions which I heard from you, which goes in a more indirect manner, but it goes in an indirect manner and it focuses on the main concern. And it is not straight on face asking, what do you mean by this? Or what do you think about this? So as a coachee,
I would like those kind of questions.
Okay, great. So if I were to ask you to ask me one of those questions, so an indirect questions or one that you think the coachee will get value, what would be an example of a Dunham style question like that you would ask me that would work, would get me thinking differently?
Okay, my style, usual.
No. The style that would work best for the coachee, so the more indirect style.
Okay.
But it's coming from you, so you've still got to be you. And so
Okay.
what would be a couple of examples of good questions?
Okay. Okay, so John, I heard you mentioned about listening skills today. Do you think the perspectives which you gave around listening is enough for you to be a good listener, or do you think there is more to that?
Fantastic. So what do you think that question did for me? And so if I was the coachee, I'm practicing being the coachee, and you were the coach, what do you think that question did for me?
Probably making you to think if whatever you talked about being a good listener, was that enough, or you need to be more specific about any of those details, or you need to add something more which would help others to be a good listener?
Fantastic. Absolutely. And for me, like my experience, if I can just share the feedback of how I received that question, is that it was a tough question. Like I had to really think, and I had to really reflect about myself and what I'd done. So even though it might have been indirect, it was actually a very powerful question for me to reflect on listening.
Okay.
So what might be, if you were to send those emails and someone say, actually, Dunham, I would love to be coached by you. And what will that response do for your fear or confidence that you talk about?
See, since I'm taking the first step towards that, before sending the email, I'm preparing myself. So once I step into it, I always struggle at the starting point. So once I step into it, then I put my fear and confidence back at my back. And the first thing I would do to avoid the fear or confidence to take over me would be to start looking at my notes, probably going through more questions, which is the fear usually I have. So I will try to prepare myself so that I have a background. I'm sure what I'm going to talk about. I'll spend enough time to be prepared, although I don't know the problem. Probably if that could help, I might even send an email stating, do you have a specific problem, to understand that I am more prepared. Because if I know the issue, then I can have some questions, even from internet, or discuss with any of my friends, get a few questions handy, and then goes into, and then go into the conversation and pick it up.
Okay.
That would be my response.
Okay. And when you say that to yourself, what happens to your fear or confidence level? Does it go up? Does it stay the same, or does it go down?
I think it goes down, because see this again, as a coach, this is what we've been trained for. But yes, as a human being, it again comes back. And I realize that there is a solution within me, which is just that when we ask this, the same experience which I'm going through with you, the same way, just ask those relevant questions that could help the person come out. So that's what I feel. I feel more confident and less fearful.
Okay. Now, with your fear, one of the things that we know about emotions is that there's a thought that's connected to the emotion. Often we're thinking something or saying something to ourselves, or there's some self-talk that creates the emotion. Oh, I don't know whether I can do it, or I'm afraid that I might stuff things up, or I might make things worse, or I don't think I can do it. Things like that tend to create the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
What might you say to yourself to feel more confident?
Okay. So first of all, I realized that the fear is caused because of those statements which I heard during training, that you need to ask powerful question. If you can influence the coachee in the right direction only when you do this, do that, kind of a understanding. So these are the basic things which a coach practices. I took it too much to heart that I want to be perfect. I want to do this in the right way and should not worsen somebody's situation. So probably I need to tell myself that, and after this session today, that yes, this is something which I can do, I can start. And the question which I randomly prepared now, when you asked me, that itself gave a confidence. So I'm going to keep that as a reminder for me, that when you ask such a question and when I have a group of people around, I was able to think in the right way, basis your feedback. So I'm going to, and you also told it's a powerful question. So I will see that I make it more simpler and probably a little lighter, so that I would be able to do this in the right way. So those are the things which I'll keep in mind before I get into.
Okay. Fantastic. Sounds good. Now, Dana, we've only got a few minutes left. I've got two things I'd like to share. One is another question, but you did ask for some guidance or a suggestion, and I would like to give you a little bit of what I've learned over the last 30 years that may help you move forward. And you can take it or leave it. Like it's not okay. Would that be okay if I share that, then ask you a question, and then we're done?
Yeah, it will be of great help.
Good. So I often get annoyed about this notion of a powerful question, because it puts all the responsibility onto the coach that you need to come up with a powerful question. And as you said in your training, it can be quite anxiety creating, like, oh my God, is this a good question, a powerful question, or not? What I have learned around questionings is that I never, ever know what the powerful question will be, ever. The moment that I think I do, I ask it, it usually falls flat. The moment that I go, gee, I don't know what question to ask, I'm just going to ask this one because that's all I can think of. And often it's an incredible eureka moment for the coach, for the coachee. So what I've come to learn is that, you know what? Coaching is about asking questions, but which one is going to make the difference, I still don't know. So for me, coaching is about just keeping on asking the questions. And what I do know is that one of those questions somewhere in there is going to help the coachee shift their thinking. At the moment that I get too caught up that, oh my God, which one is it? I lose it. So let me just put that there. How does that kind of land for you, or what does that do for you when you hear that bit of experience that I've shared?
That's very comforting. And in fact, my confidence level also goes up pretty high with that.
Well, that's good. That's good. I think my ego feels very good with that, because I used to get very disappointed, or my ego would be deflated when I didn't ask a good question. But anyway, take that one. And I've got one last question just to finish out our session. So in terms of our coaching today, what has shifted for you in terms of your confidence as a coach and moving forward to send those 5 invites?
Physiologically, I feel lighter, and the stress in my mind, the questioning that whether this is possible or not, that has come down. I would not say 100%, because I still need time to sink in all this information again. So I will review. I've also simultaneously taken notes, both mentally and on notebook. So reviewing that, I'm sure this is going to go down more and improve. The fear is going to go down more. Overall, I would say it has boosted my confidence, and thank you very much for your guidance. That is really a game changer for me. And the question which you asked me to frame a question that really helped, that made me think. And I'll surely work on that part so that I'm able to make more simpler and powerful questions.
Dhanam, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you stepping into the hot seat here. Is this a good place to finish?
Yeah. Any specific feedback you might have as a coach or a coachee? As a coach for me.
Look, not so much as a coach. I think for me the way to get through it is to do it. And if we never do it, we'll never become confident. And so little bit by little bit, like moving forward, sending those invitations, the advice is to take that step, find someone safe that you can work with, and reflect on your questions at the end. So make your coaching practice a reflective practice as well.
Okay. Just do it. That's what I've written down for me.
Yeah, that's right. So given we've got about 5 minutes left, and I'll leave the last few minutes for Sunita. Are there any questions or comments or anything that anyone would like to share? Sri, when you bounced on there, what would you like to?
I came back to the video, but I didn't have any question. But I think it gave me a very different perspective today, the way you went into the clarity point and not get deviated when she said, I have fear. So we usually ask, what else do you want to add in this when we explore this conversation today? We usually ask that question, but you seem to have a very different approach. Even though fear came and you didn't touch that, and then you had a beautiful way of sharpening the clarity, which was very good. I would have loved to see more of the reality dive in, but yes, today, considering with the time.
Yeah, I think it. So I love the what else question. It's one of those golden coaching questions. In the goal, I'm tending to kind of get sharper and more focused. In the reality, we tend to be more expansive. So the what else is going on would be a great reality based question to expand the thinking there. Usually in the goal, I'm kind of getting more specific.
Yeah.
And so
in the goal, there is one, what else do we need to explore is a question which has been suggested. So I was thinking from that perspective.
Yeah. So look, I would, so one, there's a time constraint here, so I'm doing it. I would say, instead of asking the what else do we need to explore, would ask a question. So great, thanks for sharing. Is there anything else that's on your mind that would be worthwhile exploring today? Now, it sounds a bit similar, but it's just slightly different. That we're not asking for the whole world to come to the coaching session. We're kind of prioritizing and making things a bit specific.
Thank you so much, John. That's really helpful.
Good, good. And Svati, I see that you've got your hand up if you'd like to share a question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share something that came up to me while listening to the conversation. And I totally agree that we always get daunted by this powerful question because we have been hearing about it. Oh, the questions have to be powerful. The coaching session depends on a powerful question, etc., etc. But as we keep moving forward with coaching people, and also, in our learning process, we do realize that, who are we to say that this question is powerful or not? There are 1,000 questions in the web that we can see. But as a coach, are we getting those perceptions into the coaching session? Are we bringing all whatever we learned, in the books in front of the client? Who are we to even decide that this is a powerful question or not? It is the client who has to decide if it was powerful or not. And how to get that is, again, going back to the same thing, listening. If you are listening to the client, if you are asking the questions which the client is understanding, which I felt in today's conversation, that there's some places wherein you molded your question so that the client understands in the way, she understands it.
Yeah.
Then it makes it powerful. Otherwise, it is even the most powerful question is, not thought-provoking at all.
Absolutely. And Svati, one of the things with questioning, and this could be maybe another session next year, Sunita, if people are interested, but we want to think about our questions as a questioning process. So if we think about a powerful question, we're thinking about an individual question here, another individual question there, another, and somewhere in there, that question will hit the mark. The thing is that it's a conversation. And so, if you put a question at the beginning or the middle or the end, it will impact the conversation completely differently, even if it's the same question. So a powerful question is as much about the context or the questions that sit around it as it is the question itself. And as you say, who are we to decide what a powerful question is? And I have tried for 30 years to work out what a powerful question is. And I'm just completely bad at it and I haven't been able to, or I tend to think that it's impossible because, it's up to the coachee to decide. And we are not in their brain, so we can't work that out.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. And Dunham, it's probably only fair that you have the last comment of the day before we hand back to Sunita.
John, what I noticed was generally, when we did our coaching in the training class, the goal is always the outcome, which is done in the end. But what I noticed was you started with the goal, you went up to the specific requirement. Was it because of the time limit, or is it that this is the better way to move forward so that it helps both coach and coachee to move in the right direction?
So there were two things with your goal. And you would have noticed that when you framed your goal, you said to send 5 invites before the end of the day to the. Now, that's the action. That's not the goal. The goal is how can I work through my fear so I feel more confident to do that? Do I feel confident that I've got enough knowledge and experience to be able to do it? And so that's why I asked the question, so if you were to send those 5 invites, what would need to change for you or within you? Now, that is the goal of the session. The 5 invites is simply an action that you take. And if we get caught up on the 5 invites, I could go, well, look, you've got your computer in front of you, just send them now, and we're done, the coaching session done. But the value is how can I feel more confident about my knowledge so that when I send those invites, I'm in a different state or I feel differently about it.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
We do want to get it specific, because I would then say, like, the reference point, okay, so given our session today, you wanted to know that you are ready to take that step. In terms of our coaching, how ready are you? And so we start to use that as a reference point for our coaching.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Now, I know a couple of people are dropping off, but Sunita, I will hand back to you, and thank you very much, Dhanam, for playing so well today. And I'll hand back to you, Sunita.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, John. I would request all of you, if you can just put on your video for once so that we can take a picture with John for memories. Oh, we have rapidly reduced to 16 from 24.
Everyone doesn't want their photo taken.
Saturday.
Yeah. Okay,
Preeti, can I request you to take a photo, please?
Yes. Okay, Sunita, I'm taking. Everyone, please smile. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you so much, John. I know it is way out of your Saturday evening time, and we have grabbed that time with you. It's a beautiful session, lots of processing happening at the back of the mind. I will request all of you to share your feedback with us. When you get time, take your time, share the feedback of what was, you're learning about this event. And in the last, John, you came like an opening batsman. This is the first session we are doing as an external speaker. So you came as an opening batsman, and you hit a 6.
So I guess my question, Sunita, are we playing a test or is it a one-day match?
Test.
Okay. So
because listening is a skill. You need practice. Sorry, Ken, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying, thank you, John. This is extremely incredible, though I dropped in and off, but everything that I heard was spectacular. And you rightly said, Sunita rightly said that this is a test, but how you played was like a 2020, so it was not 1 6s, 1 6, it was 6s galore. And thank you so much.
Australian final. World Cup.
No, don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, we won't get into cricket at the moment. Look, thank you very much for having me. It like I said, it's been a real privilege and a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, John. It was
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
And thank you, Dhanlakshmi, also for being vulnerable and courageous.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And thank you, all of you, and Merry Christmas to all of you in advance.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Christmas. Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas.
Thanks to Russell.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas,
Russell.
Happy New Year.
Thank you all.
And Russell to make this happen. So Russell, yeah, good to
There
see
he
your
is.
face. Take a bow. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.